Let me tell you about the strangest town I've ever stumbled upon. I found it by accident, really, when my GPS went haywire on a cross-country road trip last summer. You know those places that look perfectly normal at first glance? Well, Millbrook was exactly like that. The houses were well-maintained, with fresh paint and manicured lawns. Kids played in the streets and elderly couples walked their dogs. The local diner served decent coffee, and the waitress Sarah had that small-town friendliness that makes you feel right at home. But something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it at first. Maybe it was how everyone seemed to know my name before I introduced myself. Or how they all had this strange, distant look in their eyes whenever I mentioned the next town over. I spent a few days there, longer than I planned. The hotel owner, Mr. Peterson, kept giving me reasons to stay. "The autumn festival is this weekend," he'd say. Or, "You haven't tried Marie's famous apple pie yet." Always with that same peculiar smile. It wasn't until I met old Tom at the local bar that things started making sense. He was different from the others. His hands shook when he spoke, and he kept looking over his shoulder. "Nobody leaves," he whispered to me. "They try, but they always come back." Been that way for 60 years? I laughed it off at first, but then I noticed things. The high school yearbooks in the library only showed the same families, generation after generation. The cemetery had no graves of people who'd died elsewhere. The town's population had remained exactly 2,847 since 1963. When I finally decided to leave, everyone gathered to bid me farewell. Their smiles were warm, but their eyes held something between pity and knowing. I got in my car and drove toward the town limit. That was 3 months ago. I've tried leaving 17 times since then. Each time I find myself driving right back into Millbrook's main street with no memory of turning around. The strangest part? I'm starting to feel like I don't want to leave anymore. If you ever find yourself in Millbrook, stop by the diner. I'll be there, drinking coffee with Sarah, probably telling this story to another passing traveler. Just don't stay too long. Or maybe you already have.